Hey, good evening. This is Billy again, and had a interesting conversation this afternoon, this evening with my friend from Ireland. But wanted to come back on tonight because one of the things that a lot of us experience over our lifetimes is dreams, and sometimes we have these dreams and sometimes they come right out of nowhere. And sometimes we have these reoccurring dreams and we don't know what they mean, or and it's been like one of my it's like been one of my things that where over the many years, people will send me a private message about their dreams, and I try to interpret them for them. And some dreams are much more complicated than other dreams, and so it's like uh, some dreams might take me some time to to interpret them and to feel them out. So one of the things I wanted to put out here is if you're one of those people that have a dream and you don't quite understand it or something, feel free to send me a private message and tell me about a dream that you may be having if you want to try to understand it more. And um, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can. A lot of times, when someone will send me a dream that they're having, uh, sometimes I can sometimes I can just lay hands on it like right away, and then other times it's I have to feel them. Like I said, it'll take me time, and I don't put no time limit on when I'm doing an interpretation of a dream. And hey, Carolyn, hey, Carla, and I try to like I said, when you go into it, and there's so many different types of dreams that people have, and not all of them are the same. But what I try to make people understand is that for the most part, a dream is our subconscious trying to reach our consciousness, and um, that is something that and we're not quite understanding it. So, and we can't put the two together sometimes, because we just don't recognize, because we're so focused in our physical self and our conscious self that and our unconscious self is trying to break through to us to get us a message, or try to express a fear or a direction or something, and we're not able to communicate with it. And a lot of times an independent person can understand what is being said and can interpret it for you a whole lot better. And I try to do those, and I've been doing it for many years, and not everyone was aware of that. But I thought I would just kind of put that out there tonight, for anybody that does have, certain dreams that they're having, and they don't quite understand that. I know when I was a young fellow, to talk about a dream, it was sort of like dreams can come in some strange ways. How it tries to reach you. Like I was always in this. I remember I was having a dream when I was younger, and I was in this I was in like up at the old Black Mountain School, and it was like the classrooms had no desks in them, and it was pitch dark, and I'd be in this classroom with like it was like a big trampoline, and all you could do was jump up and down. And I'm not talking about, this wasn't like having a fun jumping up and down. That was just like you were jumping up and down on this trampoline in this dark big schoolroom. And I would have this same reoccurring dream, over and over and over for many years, and I could never understand it. And then it made me start, hey Andre, our friend from Guatemala. Nice to see you turning in from Guatemala. Thank you. And so I started studying dreams more, and started to get, it made me want to learn more about them. And most of you know things in my life, I've tried to just explore and learn as much as I can, and experience as much as I can. Doesn't make me an expert at anything, just makes me an inquisitive person who like to meet different people and do different things. And but this dream, and I kept thinking about it and kept thinking about it, and I just could not figure out why it kept putting me in this classroom up at Black Mountain, up on the hill, in this building that no longer exists, and I would still have this dream. And one of the things is that I learned about that, and that I was able to take forward, was the building itself represented learning. The darkness of the room represented the unknown, okay? And the trampoline going and jumping up and down, just constantly going up and down, kind of represents our life in general, because that's what we do. We're up and down, and when you're trying to experience life and you're going through these things, you can start to see what it's doing and what it's trying to tell you. And and it takes some thought about some of these. You have to be able to comprehend the representation of certain things in your dreams, and you have to understand whatever it is that's in your dream, it's not going to, your consciousness and how you think of things and the way your subconscious thinks of things is going to be in pictures. So when you're in those pictures, you're seeing like the illustration of a dark room at Black Mountain School that was vacant, empty, abandoned, with a trampoline in it and jumping up and down. I mean, it's just like, what could that possibly mean? But you got to start realizing that in your dreams, things take, your subconscious thinks in pictures and representations. Hey, Robin. And so that's one of the things I started learning how to do, is learning how to understand the subconscious and how it portrays itself to our consciousness and dreams, and putting those things together. And so what it pretty much illustrated my whole life as well, is sort of like, it was telling me, like, I'm the type of person that sometimes, because I'm always about educating myself and about learning things, and not just about myself, but about others too. And so that's the type of person I am. And I had to start realizing that. And then also understanding the darkness represented, like I said, it represented the unknown. And I'm a gambler in that sense, where I will take a lot of chances and a lot of risks to go out on a limb to learn something. Sometimes that's not good for me. And that represents coming down, and sometimes you don't land on the trampoline and you don't go, but you try to understand that you will go up and down in life. And so, and I was kind of going to put that out to you guys. If you're having a certain dream or a dream that comes to you out of nowhere, and there's different types. Some come to you out of nowhere. Some come to you, it's a repeated dream over and over that comes to you. And if you don't understand that, you can private message me with the dream that you're having. And I keep in everything, and people that know this, that I have interpreted dreams for that, and they're in Harlan as well. It's just all over the place. But I keep you confidential. Everything is always confidential with me. I'm not going to, that's just not me. If you tell me something, I will. It's between us. So, but I put that out there in case you are having dreams and you do want someone else to give like an independent, want you to like. You want to try to understand what your subconscious is trying to tell you to your conscience. Feel free to do that. Believe me, I may not get back to you right away because, like I said, sometimes I have to meditate on someone's dream. I have to think about it. I have to, put myself in the right spirit to be able to understand it as well. So it's not something that I can just rattle off and say, oh, this means this or this means that, no, it's an accumulation of things, because you have to understand what the picture is representing, and sometimes and you have to be able to connect the dots a lot of times. So, hey, Carolyn, I hope you're doing well tonight. You're keeping that blood pressure down, and you got the diabetes too, don't you? And so, and I know a lot of people, they have these dreams and they go through them and they don't understand them, but they keep having, I don't know. I'm sure many of y'all have the same dream that you have over and over and over, and over a span of years sometimes, and you never understand what's going on or why you're having this dream. And then there's other types of dreams where we're in what we call lucid dreams. We're sort of like half asleep, half awake. We're in that light stage where we're in the dream and you can sort of like control the dream. And that's called a lucid dream, where you're actively participating in the dream. And that brings up a whole, that brings up another whole a series of ways to interpret that, because you are remembering your dream vividly as well, and actually, like I said, participating in it. And you're trying to affect the outcome in the dream one way or the other. You're able to shift it and do things with it. And if you're having those kind of dreams, I can try to help you understand those as well too. So I just thought this was an interesting thing, that a lot of people were having these dreams that I've been having conversations with, and some people have been giving me dreams. And then there's also another type of dream, and these are much, much more difficult. And sometimes and you got to be able to understand the differences every detail in these dreams is important. Every single detail that you can remember. So if you send me a dream, please make sure that you get every detail as possible in there, because if you miss out something, it would kind of like the whole dream can change if you miss out a picture. So try to get every picture that you can in there for me. And but the other type of dream is sort of like the types of dreams that are the type of dream that sort of like sometimes you might see in the Bible, in a biblical sense, where um, you're forecasting something. Your subconscious is telling you something before it happens. And this is a much more difficult dream to try to interpret sometimes, because, and you have to know the differences when you get into that. And it was sort of like when in the Bible, where it talks about where the one character in the Bible um um is interpreting the dream about the famine coming, and things of that nature. So those are different types of dreams. And so, hey Amanda, and hey Virgil, my friend Amanda out. I kept looking for you, Amanda. I want you to know too. Some of you guys don't realize I had another Facebook page that had like about 5,000 people on it, and I got so frustrated with Facebook that I deleted the Facebook, and I lost all my friends. So don't think I didn't unfriend a bunch of people just because and then I decided that I was going to have Facebook back, but I'd already had that one deleted for over 30 days. And so I came back, and then I couldn't, I was just like, I got all these friends that's out there somewhere that I don't even know. And then when I seen you on there the other day, Amanda, I was like, oh, I love Amanda. It's like she's our friend out in Oklahoma, in the Duran area down that way. And she's a great lady. I love her conversations. But anyway, going back to the dreams, like I said, there's so many different types of dreams. So if you have in any of those dreams, like I said, everything would be confidential, and I just I work one-on-one with a lot of people, and I try to help. And then there's also another type of dream, and this one is you really, these are even more rare. So, and these are the dreams that maybe your subconscious where it's trying to reach your conscience, and it's about something that may have happened in the past. It's not, so you got some dreams that's predicting things about the future. You got some dreams of predicting, or not predicting, but kind of revealing itself, something about the past. These are two really, really rare dreams, okay? Very rare. And, but they do happen. So I don't, and then there's the dreams where your subconscious, as I was saying, which is the more common type, where your subconscious is actually, speaking to your conscience, trying to direct you personally in a way. And then, like I said, and then there's the other type of dream, the lucid dreams, where you're actively participating in the dream. You're half awake, half asleep. And you guys, if I'm talking to you and you understand what I'm trying to say about the dreams, you may have experienced these yourself, somewhere in your life. And some people do more so than often. Other people, not so much. Everyone's different. Everyone's. It just depends on how in tune you are with your subconscious, and how you can bring that about. Yes, actually, Barbara is she's a nurse, and Barbara's a nurse. I think last time I seen she's a nurse up at in Louisville at Norton's Hospital, and she's my first cousin. She's my dad's sister's daughter, and she's been in nursing for, geez, I don't know. I want to say maybe 25 years or 30 years or something. She's been a nurse. She works at Norton's Hospital in Louisville. At least she did last time I checked. Very sweet girl, and And her mother was like one of the hardest, my aunt, she was like one of the hardest working women that I've ever come across. She'd work any three men to death, so she had a real hard working mother too. Matter of fact, her mother, Barbara's mother, died of cancer, and she's such a hard working. She worked through her cancer up until like the last month before she knew she had cancer, and she knew she was dying, and she still worked. She refused to stop working. That's how much of a hard working woman she was. And man, I'm telling you, I tried to stay up with her sometimes, and I just like get so frustrated with her because trying to keep up with a woman like that is like very hard for her. And you guys may have known her mother. Yeah, well, tell her yes. She's my first cousin, and her mom's name was Shelby Jean, and there in Harlem, when she lived back there up at 31 Camp and the whole Disney area and everywhere up there, Shelby Jean carried a 38. She wore a holster, and she carried that 38 on her side all the time. Her name was Shelby Jean. Her mother's name was, and Barbara's mother. She carried a 38 pistol on her side everywhere she went. As a matter of fact, when she moved out to Louisville, she started having to carry her pistol in her purse, and because you can't really carry a sidearm on a holster in Louisville. They don't look too favorable on that. And so she started carrying a pistol in her purse, and she went into the Federal Building downtown Louisville, and she forgot she had the pistol in her purse, and she got tackled by where they have the because it's a federal building and you have to go through the metal detectors, and she got tackled by 3 U.S. Marshals in Louisville because because she had that 38 on her. But anyway, that's off the subject. I just kind of remembered that. Yeah, it's something you really don't want to do when you're in the city, especially Louisville. They're kind of liberal and off, a little bit about that. So lay down, dog. And but like I said, feel free if anybody, if you have any of those dreams and you're not trying, if you want to try to understand a little bit, I'll try to help them with you on that. But please give me a moment on those, because I don't really like to rush interpreting dreams. I like to give them some thought and meditate on the visualizations of the pictures that you're doing. Sometimes they come fairly quick, and some other times, it takes, sometimes it takes several days. It just depends on the complication of what's trying to be said. And now the other type of dreams I was talking about, the dreams when it's trying to tell you something in advance or something that's happened. Those dreams could take a while. Those dreams take really deep meditation to understand what's being said and what the message is and what's being revealed. And it was sort of like, and then I'll give you an example of why I believe in those things too, not just what's in the biblical senses of the Bible, but also nature itself. You got to realize there's certain trees in the springtime, or certain, how you guys might look at a woolly worm sort of in the summer. There's certain things that nature will automatically do. Hey guys, lay down. That reveals what's going to happen in the future, whether it be a drought or a hard winter or things like that. So if it happens in nature, you have to realize that you are part of nature. And a lot of those things we tend to shut off our knobs off, you know, and we don't really understand them because we're so removed from our ancestors and the things that they knew, that they understood them perfectly because they lived it, you know. And that's, they weren't disrupted by society. They wasn't disrupted by TV or ball games or the internet and all these things. They were more in tune with their nature. And today most people are not. And I take time every so often to make sure that I try to tune back into our ancestral, you know, our real who we are of nature, you know, if that makes any sense to you. So can be very simple or can be very complicated, and I wanted to bring that on, and I try to relate to everybody, and I got to know what's my dog, lay down. They hear me talking, like always, and then they think I'm talking to them and they want my attention. So just the whole ideal is that there's so many senses around us that we do tune out and we don't pay attention to no more, and it's kind of unfortunate. And because when we start turning these down, I made a post earlier too about when talking about when we cast out, we have to be careful when we cast out like devils from us, because sometimes, and I made this post and I didn't really expect people to kind of understand it, because sometimes when we cast out some things, we end up casting out maybe it's the best part of us. And you're like, well, how can casting out a devil be the best part of you? Well, this all goes back to our genetics, okay? And our DNA. Every one of us has bad and good in us. And we're programmed that way. And without that bad being programmed into us, I sincerely believe that we couldn't survive. And, you know, you have to have this, and whether you want to call it bad, no, it's we can call it tough, okay? We can call it a lot of different things. Now, so if you go to saying like, I'm going to cast out something bad and get rid of it, I'm going to cast out that devil. I mean, we can give it a lot of different names here. But when we cast out something, we got to be careful, because what we may be calling devil might be actually not. It may be the toughness or the let me see if I can find the right words for it. It would be the thing in us that causes us to fight. Okay? And if we cast that out, and we cast our ability out of us, that we just gave it a name, a term of the devil, because without our ability to fight, we can't survive. Nothing in nature can survive without the ability to fight. You know, so we have to be careful about that. You know, it's sort of like be careful what you wish for type thing. You know, so. And we have to understand that. And so with these bad things, it's better not to cast them out as much as it is to understand them and harness the power from them, so that we can use them for our benefit and for people, for benefit all around us. So, you know, not everything is black and white, is like what a lot of people want to think it is. So when there's a lot of gray in there, to where you got to know how to deal with things. And so it was sort of like, take for example Saul in the Bible. and this is where I interpret the Bible in so many different ways. Then a lot of people is like, okay, you take Saul for example, okay, who became Paul, right? Had his name changed, but it was that fight in him that made him the strength that he was. If you had taken that away from him, then he would have never been Saul or Paul, or you know what I mean? If you just cast everything out and all his fight away from him, then he wouldn't have been able to fight other battles. So you can't fight for good. So you got to be careful how you know, you got to be, it's all about the harnessing of it. So when you do it, when you are reading your Bibles, I even from a young age, I always thought it was a good thing to pray before I opened the Bible. And then I would get to the point when I was at a young age that I was trying to decipher words from the Bible, not just their translated words, but their Greek and trying to get to the meaning of certain words. And then when I was missing the bigger picture, because I could sit here and know Greek, which I don't, but I'm just saying, but I could go through the interpretations of Greek to find the meanings of words, to be physically and right about the interpretation, but I would miss the interpretation. And I got this from listening to, as a young fellow, talking to a lot of old people from back in the day, and the old hillbillies, and they would tell stories, and they would put words to things, and those words they put to things wasn't literal, you know. They had a lot of metaphor in their stories. If you guys remember what I'm talking about, they had a lot of metaphor in their stories. But if you tried to take what they were saying physically and applying those words to interpret them, you wouldn't understand the story at all. It wouldn't make no sense. And most people in the cities would not understand an old timer's stories because it just wouldn't make no sense. It would just be like it would go right over their head. And I think that's what happens in a lot of our stories in the Bible, where people are trying so desperately and so hard to understand that they're striving to decipher every word that's said and get some kind of meaning out of it, that they miss the story totally and completely. You know, that they are taking things and applying them in the physical sense, and that totally disrupts, which goes back to you know, Jesus spoke in parables, and it tells why he spoke in parables. And it wasn't meant for you to be educated in the sense, and I ain't saying an educated man can't understand it, but if an educated man is trying to decipher word for word what the Bible actually means and interpret it to this means this, so it must mean that, you're missing the story. You're missing the story totally, because that's not really how it works. And that goes back to our dreams. Our dreams are the same way. Sometimes, you know, you're just looking at the picture and it don't make sense, you know, and you're like, what does this mean? And so you got to like be able to use the metaphors of how things are working in our subconscious, because what is our subconscious? What is our subconscious? And our subconscious lies within us. Some people says it's, you know, it's our spirit. There's a lot of different things, you know. It's the thing inside of us that tells us sometimes what is good and what is bad. Sometimes we don't listen to it and we go ahead and do what our physical conscious side is just, we go ahead and please that side instead. But so when you get into the subconscious part and you get into the spiritual part, there's something else there, and it's sort of like, I wish I was smart enough to understand, like, when the conscious side dies of the human body, the subconscious part, it's the spiritual part. It's the part that's in us, and all I know is the DNA that each of us have in our bodies. And the DNA in all plants and trees and everything living in this world is so magnificently coded. So magnificently coded that it could not possibly have happened by accident. So that goes to make us understand how many things out there that we really don't understand. And so when we get into that unconscious or subconscious spiritual side, some of us are, you can start to feel that side, and being able, but sometimes you can feel it, but you don't. Being in that presence of it and understanding it can be quite, it can be a lot of things. It can be exhilarating, it can be frustrating. It can bring us so many emotions, and even to the point where it just makes us exhausted and tired. So, and I try to help people with those. And like I said, I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else or anything. I don't want people to, I get uneasy about that sometimes, because people have egos, and people want to put other people down, and people want to bring people down for some reason. It's not that anybody's on a higher level or anybody's, because I think you find what you seek. And all of us are sort of have the same abilities. It's just some of us tend to seek them a little bit harder. And so why would you put someone down, or why would you ridicule someone who is seeking something a little bit harder than you are? I mean, if it means that much to them, if somebody was seeking something hard, I would encourage them to find it. Or why would I put them down? If they wanted to pursue a career in something, or if they wanted to, whatever it is they're pursuing, this is what I don't understand about people in general, is that when somebody is seeking something and they try to find it, and they may be at a different level on their path trying to find it, doesn't mean doesn't mean that other person can't get there too, or it's not a race, and so many times people put out things as a race, and they want to put someone down to make themselves higher. It just frustrates me. I never could. I don't understand that concept of way people think, or way they act. And that really, it bothers me sometimes, that because I don't feel it necessary to put someone down. And then when I come up with someone maybe that is on a higher level than I am, and I listen to them, and you can automatically recognize when someone is seeking something. Maybe they're seeking it stronger than I am. And then when I see that, and if I'm seeking the same thing, then I don't try to bring them down. How's that making me understand anything better, right? I try to understand, and I try to learn from what their experiences are, not to bring them down. That's not helping me at all. And so I have we all have those people in our lives that will try to bring us down. And that's unfortunate. That's not what we're here for. And we have used that part of the fight in us for the wrong reasons, in the wrong places and at the wrong times. And you're supposed to harness that stuff. Hey, Carol. Hey, Gail. I was just watching some of you guys, and we're talking about dreams. So that was one of the things that I try to learn myself and try to prepare myself to understand things in a little bit different light and go through things. Some people are going through things that maybe I don't understand, or everybody's on a different level, and there's so many different ways that you can learn from other people's experiences and not just your own. Ideal is to try to have as many experiences as you can, but also to keep your eyes and your ears open to learn from other things. I mean, you don't necessarily have to touch the fire to know the fire is hot, right? I mean, if one of you guys put your hand over there and you touch something that had been like a stove pan, if it's been in the oven, and one of you guys reach in on the stove and grab the pan and you jerk your hand back because you burnt your hand. Now, I might not be able to see it's hot, but I just seen your reaction. And I don't think I need to grab that pan to understand that it's hot, So you can learn from other people just by observing and I mean, if that's a good analogy for you, But too many of us are trying to bring people down and let them experience. If they're not hurting anybody, if they're not hurting anything, let them. I mean, you got to let people live a little bit and quit worrying about this little petty stuff. So we get into the dreams, and if you guys have any, remember you can private message me anytime. I just wanted to come in there and throw that on there. And I was glad to see some of you on here tonight, especially my friend from Guatemala. And it was good seeing you, Robin. And I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys, and just have a great evening and a great night. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. And God bless you, and have a great night.